Is this thing on?
Yes.
Ha-ha! Good morning, Ratmen! You're listening to Blight City Radio. I'm your host, Screech Radio Rat, and I'm contractually obligated to tell that my Skaven slave Corgi is here. Shut up! We are here to talk about the new Skaven book, and what the glorious Skaven have been up to. I may have forgot to pre-order the book, and it's sold. And that might be why we're late. No, my slave forgot. I never did anything wrong. Too smart to do anything wrong. Before we start, we have a caller. Hi, I'm Jackie Man, a regular man-thing bartender, and I was calling to complain about your rat music. It's just too good. It's making all the man-thing music sound bad. Well, Jackie Man, shut up! What did you expect? This isn't a human station. There will be no Nick Cave. This isn't a Slaneshi station. There will be no Chapel Roan. This is pure Skaven rock. Corgi, play the Skaven music.
Hey, editing room Che here. So I was going to play the opening 3 seconds of Radioactive, but then I looked up how long you can play in a YouTube video before it gets copywritten material. Apparently it's 0 seconds. That whole you can play 5 seconds without running the risk of getting a copyright strike is a complete myth. And realistically it'll probably be fine, but I don't want to run the risk. So imagine for a moment Radioactive just played. Also, today's episode is brought to you by rats. Haha, I remembered it in the edit. Don't at me. That intro was inspired. It was inspired by Joseph D. So I want to give credit where credit is due. And just as an aside to everything, there was a show from my childhood. No idea what it was, but it was burned into my brain that it had a puppet rat, and I just think about that sometimes. Just
Horrible Histories.
It wasn't. I'm too old for Horrible Histories.
Sure, that literally sounds exactly like the Horrible Histories rat.
Yeah, I know. And then people Horrible Histories has a rat, and then I looked it up, and it aired in 2006. This, what I am talking about, aired in
the 1900s.
1999 or 2003. Anyway, I also knew you were going to say Horrible Histories because you're young and you would have actually watched Horrible Histories on TV, whereas for me it was just a magazine. I still have all of those magazines. They're with my collection of White Dwarf.
The Adventures of Grady Greenspace?
I don't know what it was. Anyway.
Yeah, not important.
Today we're going to be doing a little look into the Skaven 4th edition. Some of this will have already been covered in the 4th edition video we did, but this will also have more information. So we'll be covering some of the same stuff, as this is exclusively Skaven instead of the whole world. So the book actually fleshes it out a lot more. But if you want to learn more about the Skaven themselves and their factions, check out the first 2 videos of Good Morning Ratman. Check the playlist. It's not the first 2 videos on this channel. Also,
yeah, because before this channel he had his own solo gig before begging me to join.
Begging isn't the right word, but yeah.
No, I just had a lot of free time.
Forcing is probably more an accurate term. It was, we should make a podcast. Hey, we're making a podcast. Download Audacity.
And here we are.
Also, I thought this episode would be short. It's not.
Oh dear.
It ballooned. I thought this was going to be the 4th edition episode, whereas it was going to be 30 to 40 minutes. I think this will be an hour. It won't be a full-length video. The script is about 2 pages shorter than usual. On that note, for some of this I had to check my original script for the first 2 episodes, and I have no fucking clue how I put together those episodes. The script was a fucking mess. It was 9 pages long and had about 4,700 words and covered 2 whole episodes over 2 hours. The Gene Stealer Cults video was an hour and 20 minutes long and was 9 pages long and had 4,500 words.
So, in other words, we have been rambling since the very start.
Yep. This script is 7 pages long and has 4,000 words. Though some of this, I I need to go grab my book and read a quote from it because I usually write it down the quotes, but I just couldn't be bothered. I just said, read the quote at this page on the book.
Of course. And I left it downstairs.
No, it was right behind me.
Behind you? It's watching you?
Now, all right, class. It's time to lead the class reading. I will read the first page and then I'll pass it off to the students.
Wait, what?
Now,
Was I meant to have studied?
now comes our hour. Yes, yes. Long have we lurked in the shadows, letting you see of us only what we wished you to see. Watching, waiting, scheme plotting for the time of our great ascendancy, scratching reality thinner, 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 all for this moment, when the flesh of the worlds is shredded, and we fall upon you in our full majesty as the bells ring out your doom. No more hiding, no more skulking. No, no. You see us now, and you tremble. Skaven we are, the children of the great horned rat, mightiest of all that breathe. Our fangs are sharp, our claws slick with blood. We revel in your panic, smell your terror. In our genius we bring cannons and murder beasts to slay you, plague and shadows to unravel you, and hunger so endless and black that we will feast gorge until the realms are stripped bare. So the Horned One wishes, so the Lords of Decay command, so it is our right to triumph over all surface dwellers. Kill, slay us if you wish, a billion more will follow, caring nothing for the fallen, grief, pity, compassion, worthless notions all. Each of us you butcher is one fewer rival for glory. Each victory you claim purges us of those unworthy to lead. For us, every moment is a battle to conquer and conquer we do, because we are cunning where you are full things, and fierce where you are weak. We know the value of self-preservation, and we know when minions must be sacrificed to further one's aims. See the end as it comes for you. Quake as the skies are split by warp lightning, and our teeming war swarms emerge as one. Let the clang of bells splinter your minds as we tunnel gnaw into the very heart of your pathetic empires. Witness the clans unite and the cosmos drown beneath the tide of our mastery. Your end is coming, man-things. That's the quote.
That is a long-ass quote.
Yeah, that's why I didn't write it down. I just wrote, read the book.
Yeah, I honestly was like, I was expecting like 2 sentences. I wasn't expecting a full paragraph.
If it's 2 sentences, I wrote it down.
But either way, it's still great. Because I just imagine, like, you strike one down and a million more spill from the belly of the one you killed. Even though that's not how they work, but you get what I mean. Metaphors and all that.
So here's another quote. We're just going straight off the bat, double quotes. 2 people are talking, for context. Aren't they just mutants? Really? You don't believe that. There are mutants out in the woods and the wastes, even the back streets. The Skaven are a breed apart. You can sense that they should not exist. Likely, they do too. So they creep in the cover of darkness, digging unnatural tunnels through the cosmos and unpicking sanity thread by thread. Always watching, minds spinning with ambition and famishment until they can think of nothing else. Then they give rise like the end of days. They are the doom spread by war's hunger, Armand. They are the vermin that will consume us. After the funeral bells toll and the civilization we cherish has collapsed. Now, the thing I took away from this is that people know about the Norholes and how they work. And, like, this guy was a witch hunter, so it's kind of his job, but at the same time, I feel like people should know that information. It does kind of, like, establish that the Skaven they will talk a lot. You give them the opportunity, they will tell everyone everything that they know, because they're fucking idiots. And they're just like...
They just love conversation.
Yeah. It's... You know, I assume you haven't watched Watchmen or read it.
Watched Watchmen?
Yeah.
I watched it, like not 2012. Did it come out before or after the Avengers?
I think it was 2009.
Yeah, okay, so that was before, because... Anyway, point is,
anyway,
I have vague memories of it, but I don't remember.
Point out is, end of that book, Ozymandias reveals his whole plan to everyone. And, like, you know, his whole, like, I'm going to set off these bombs, or, you know, said, do the squid. I'm going to make the squid. And then everyone will unite behind the squid, and they're like, haha, we're here to stop you, Adrian. And Adrian's like, yeah, I know. And you'll succeed in stopping me. Because one of you is literally a god. That's why I did it 35 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah.
It's great in the book. It's not great when I retell it. It's a really shit retelling of that. But Skaven are like the opposite of that, where they're just like, this is my plan. It will achieve, and all of this. And we're going to do this and this and this and this. And then people go, and we're here to stop you. And they go, no, that's why I'm doing it in 5 years. It's like, cool, thanks, Skaven.
Oh, God, they're like the Trevally from Doctor Who, except instead of being cowards constantly trying to surrender, they're just over planners. They're just like, okay, guys, let's make sure this is all good on your schedule. I'm going to try and set off this horrifying plague bomb, and you guys can come stop me in 5 years. Wait, but don't actually stop me in 5 years.
That's why when the Great Horn Rat found out about the Age of Sigmar and Sigmar building his Sigmarines, he only told the Eshin because he knew all of the other Skaven would just tell everyone else. And now the advantage that they have of being the only people to know that this is coming, all of a sudden all the other Chaos Gods would know. Because the Skaven would be like, ha, I've got this ingenious plan for Sigmar's invasion. And then the Chaos that they're talking to would be like, what invasion? What are you talking about? Huh?
What'd you say?
There was one thing I kind of had a problem with this book. It's a very good book. It's very good lore. But the Skaven aren't stupid in it. Like there's moments. But all the other Skaven books I read just really goes on how fucking stupid the Skaven are. And I get the point of this is what the Skaven are when they're unified. And they're fucking terrifying. So in this, they're eldritch horrors. They're this unending swarm you can't defeat.
Sounds like rats.
I also miss my fucking gaggle of morons. My gaggle of morons are great.
We want them smart, but not too smart.
But at the same time, it's only an inevitability of when the Skaven fuck this up. Because, as the saying goes, you're only a spear's throw away from a Skaven at any moment in time. The Skaven unified will win. So they can't have the Skaven unified. At some point, this needs to fall apart. And it will probably fall apart due to their sheer stupidity. And then the next book will be like, hey, look at these fucking dumbasses. Look at these fucking morons. This pack of fucking stupid rat men.
I resent that.
Anyway, let's get into the events of the book.
Chapter 1, A New Hope. No.
Yep. Don't you think it's wild that George Lucas started his Star Wars trilogy? Or his Star Wars... 4? Yes, the first... Like, people in the 1970s must have been like, oh, this is fucking wild when Chapter 4 or Episode 4, A New Hope, came on screen. And they're like, where's the first 3?
Well, to be fair, it was initially meant to be called The Adventures of Luke Skywalker.
And at
the same time...
As told by the journal The Wills, I think was the full title. And it wasn't Skywalker, it was Starkiller. It was Luke Starkiller. Right.
And then they repurposed Starkiller for...
Yeah.
Whatever. Point is, it really is weird. Like, does that mean that before he did the the prequels, that he considered Star Wars Chapter 4, the first Star Wars movie, to like actually be Chapter 4 of someone else's trilogy?
No, it's because the Wills they have all of the history and the story, and technically the Wills are still canon. They get referenced every now and then, but there's some entity that like records everything. So the Wills have... That's WHILLS. This is a Star Wars podcast now.
Oh God, if we did that, we'd lose everyone.
I don't want to start a Star Wars podcast.
That's why I said we'd lose everyone, including me. Bye.
I have many thoughts on Star Wars, and maybe we'll talk about them someday. And I know we like... Here are my thoughts on the state of Star Wars. It's, here are my thoughts on the philosophy of the Force and the nature of the Force.
And I'd just be there like, I thought that was really sweet. Not understanding the full depths of it. I mean, Jesus. Skaven. This is meant to be about Skaven. Not about the other rats.
So, across the mortal realms are ley lines. I explained what they are in a quote-unquote real-world sense in the 4th edition episode, so we aren't going to get into that.
Yeah,
But
ley lines are ley lines.
yeah,
Like,
they actually
everybody
explain what the ley lines are in this.
Oh.
To a degree, which was just like, oh, cool. You didn't explain that in the other book. You had to just expect that I already knew what they were. Cool.
Yeah, that really is some Star Wars behavior.
Yeah. And
No, you're just meant to know exactly what the Force is.
yeah. But
Anyway, ley lines.
the ley lines, where these ley lines connect, right? They are nexus points of magic energy. And the existence of the ley lines was well known throughout, though the understanding was minimal. What wasn't well known was that the ley lines also existed on a vertical plane, not just a horizontal plane.
Yeah, so sort of like one of those, like Google SketchUp, for example, in that they exist on both the X and Z.
Yep, you've lost me. So
I've lost myself all the time.
So this meant they also existed underground. The Skaven, on the other hand, understood quite well the nature of the ley lines, the threads of reality tying the realms together. And like all threads, they could be cut.
Yeah, like a conspiracy board.
Yeah. And so, Screech Vermin King, the right-hand claw of the Great Horned Rat, oversaw the Great Horned Rat's plan, forcing all 6 Skaven clans to work together. The Master Clan and Skryre created spears of warpstone and drove them into the nexus points that had been exposed by Moulder and Verminous. The Eshin killed all that got too close to uncovering their plan, and Pestilence got sent far away to battle the Seraphon, because they might use their scrying magic to uncover what was going on. And wouldn't you help notice that just Clan Pestilence just so happened to be trying to start a civil war, and now they're almost completely gone from Blight City? What a wild coincidence that is. Must have been on such an important mission.
They would never be calculated enough to send out people who will betray them even more than the others.
Just as an aside, like when I was writing the script, I write Great Horned Rat a lot, and it's 3 words, and it gets boring, so I switch it up and be like the horned one, the horned rat, and stuff. And I eventually just gave up, and every single time I wrote Great Horned Rat after that is GHR.
Oh, I was so scared you were about to say you just called him horny.
I could just pronounce him Gur, but Gur's also a place, so I can't just say Gur.
Barfa rat? Like Baphomet, but no.
No. So, during this plan, the Verminous and Skryre decided to capitalize on the chaos of the Error of Beasts to launch a siege against Tempest's Eye. A Sigmarite... Yeah, it's a Sigmarite fortress. This, however, wasn't the greatest idea, as the Skaven really didn't want any eyes on them at the moment, and now eyes were in fact on them. And worse, they pissed off Screech.
And Screech is...
Screech Vermin King. We've talked about him. He's the giant demon rat, who is the right-hand claw of the Great Horned Rat.
Right, yes. Literally just mentioned him, but I forgot Screech for some second. I'm very sorry.
As an aside about Screech, so he's consistently referred to in the books as the right-hand claw of the Great Horned Rat, and then in the 3rd edition codex, he's referred to as the left-hand claw for the entire beginning part of the codex, and then you get to his specific page, and then it just starts calling him the right-hand claw again, and it's like, I feel like you forgot what claw he is.
It's alright, he's just being juggled back and forth. This claw, that claw, this claw, that claw, like, what is...
Like
Continue.
a clown? Like a clown juggling?
Yeah, I was trying to remember that thing, like, when you're making pizza dough, you get the ball, right? And sometimes you'll toss it between your hands before you actually start rolling it out. It's like a rat pizza. No, a rat pizza sounds gross.
So the Skaven won their battle, or fought their battle, during... It didn't explain if they won it or not, just that they were fighting it. They fought their battle in Tempest's Eye by spawning into the bottom of the fortress and fighting their way up. And also, they really liked the glory of winning. So this gave the Council of 13 an idea.
Mm-hmm.
What if Blight City could be utilized as a weapon?
Like a blight bomb?
Like the city itself,
Oh boy.
where they live. What if it was a weapon? And hey, well, Sigmar, well, he just really likes the Great Parch. He's super proud of it. It's his most significant victory. What if someone were to say, I don't know, punch an eldritch nightmare city sitting in the void, threw reality into it? Wouldn't that just go to show how great the Skaven really are and prove that they really are the best?
Oh, Jesus Christ. And how'd that go?
Pretty well, as we'll get to.
Okay.
The vibrations of the corrupted ley lines began to damage reality, and anyone with witch sight, which is the ability to perceive magic, began to realize something was amiss. Slan began to awake after centuries of meditation, feeling a deep sense of unease, and Ideneth began stockpiling souls to prepare for an unexpected doom, and there was a hologram wearing a red and white checkered gingham dress and army boots.
I mean, hey, if you're going to a picnic, you gotta look nice.
This desire to blow up the Great Parch encountered a problem.
Being that they lived there?
It was simply too ambitious.
Nonsense, not for the Skaven.
They would have to corrupt so many ley lines with so much warpstone, it would certainly be noticed. They would have to recruit the assistance of outsiders to keep their presence unknown and the plot hidden. Enter Archon the motherfucking Everchosen.
Why does that sound familiar?
Because we've brought him up before. He's only been repeatedly referenced in passing. We haven't done anything about him. Just he comes up a lot. Because for those of you who don't know who he is and are 40k inclined, he is something of the fantasy version of Horus. But unlike Horus, he won.
He won his heresy.
Yeah. He went, what if we destroy everything for chaos? And then he destroyed everything for chaos. Now, he is the head of the forces of chaos and favored by 4 of the chaos gods. And the only reason he isn't favored by all 5 is because he explicitly turned down the Great Horned Rat's favor. However, neither the Horned Rat nor the Everchosen really give a shit about the great game, which is the 4 gods constantly fucking each other over to become the most powerful chaos god.
As you do.
So, as such, they aren't above a gentleman's agreement here and there, albeit one on tenterhooks.
Go on.
The Great Horned Rat himself appeared before Archon and proposed a deal, and a simple one at that. In exchange for assistance, the Skaven's plan would disrupt the balance of everything, not just the mortal realms, but also the Chaos Gods themselves. The Horned One would truly ascend to rival the 4 gods, no longer seen as some new upstart god. And Archon saw this weakening as the great advantage in his plan to kill the gods. I don't know what that's about, it just says that is deicidal.
Oh, sorry, I was writing secret portal, but stupidly. Secret
portal, secret portal, through the mountains, secret portal. Okay.
Alright, that's our Avatar reference for the day. Pack it up, boys.
I think the only Avatar reference we've ever made on this show.
That you know of.
And so, Archon commanded the Slaves of Darkness to assist in their great plan.
And who are the Slaves of Darkness?
The people who work for Archon.
He's darkness? Dear God. The plot thickens.
So, it doesn't explain this in the book, but it's in the other book. The Slaves of Darkness had cultists in cities, and they would just, most of those cities were built on top of the Nexus points, so they would just lob warpstone on above ground. So the Skaven were doing all their bullshit underground, and the cultists were doing all their shit above ground.
Ah, that's always the case, isn't it? Why isn't there ever like a cultist that just, is proud out in the open? Nope, that's never mind. Continue.
I can't put that in, otherwise I get doxxed. However, this whole thing almost went tits up when the Darker Oath, a Slaves of Darkness warband, had grown suspicious, discovering the dangers of warpstone, and led an attack on the Skaven at the last possible moment, working tirelessly to destroy one of the Skaven's engines. Screech himself joined the battle and helped the Skaven to defend until their plan had reached its critical mass. Quote, Monolithic brass towers powered by warpstone punched into the flesh of the cosmos, wrenching an already twisted magical lattice until it snapped.
Oh, that goes hard, though.
And thus, the Great Parch was torn asunder in a violent fury by the Vermin Doom, killing countless and creating the Gnaw, a place so corrupted with warpstone that only those with unnatural chaos resistance can even survive. Everything else will have their flesh and soul corrupted by the warpstone dust that stains the air and ground. The Gnaw is filled to the brim with Gnaw holes. They weren't dug, but simply appeared during the hour of ruin as a byproduct of the fabric of reality being so weakened.
God, that's fucking killer.
This is what I mean by the Skaven are scary in this book, which makes sense that they chose not to undermine them by being like, they're also fucking idiots.
What if they became idiots because of all the corruption in the Gnaw? Like, they weren't entirely immune.
They were already idiots.
Damn.
Now, Blight City didn't just emerge from the Gnaw, mind you. It also appeared deep in other realms, as well as across the mortal realms. No, that's written bad. Blight City didn't just emerge in the Gnaw, mind you. It appeared deep within other realms, across the mortal realms. That's still written bad. Fuck it. I'm lampshading. I wrote this sentence and it sucks. Therefore, you can't criticize me for how fucking bad that sentence is. Fuck you.
Yeah, that's not gonna stop anyone.
Almost every city across the mortal... Oh man, if I actually read the fucking sentence before I kept interrupting myself, it would have made fucking sense. It appeared deep in other realms as well, and across the mortal realms, almost every city had fallen under disarray. That makes sense. That's a coherent sentence. Fuck me.
Today's the day where Mahersta's lost it.
Facing some form of disaster in what is called the Hour of Ruin.
The Hour of Ruin. God,
Yep.
everything is about time with these guys. The Age of Sigmar.
Yep.
Time of Ruin, whatever.
Hour of Ruin. It was the Hour of Beasts, was the previous one. Now, Chaos, be they Skaven or the forces of Archon, besieged cities. Plagues broke out, and hordes of vermin swarmed through the cities, consuming food and people alike. One such...
I was just gonna say, well, both are the same thing if you're hungry enough.
Yeah. One such city was Great Cost, to give you an idea of what everyone was experiencing. Though, Great Cost was in the Parch, so it got particularly bad. Let us tell you an abbreviated story of Great Cost. Those that led the defense one by one disappeared, only for their headless corpses to appear hanging from the arms of their statues. Then, the rats came.
Sorry. Can you do that again?
Which part again?
Just the start, because fuck.
Those that led the defense one by one disappeared, only for their headless corpses to appear hanging from the arms of their statues.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Hold on.
It's
now I've got to do a rough draft of that because I think that's going to be the headliner.
Will, look, this. I rewrite a lot of this in ways that are a bit more condensed and less make more sense. I'll bring up the exact quote because it was a fucking banger of a quote.
Yeah, I haven't been taken by a quote like that for a bit, but holy shit, I'm immediately getting to work on that. Hell, I might even actually upgrade this to a proper drawing because I'm just imagining noble statues standing tall, palms facing the sky, with clusters of heads just pooling there.
One by one, those denizens of Great Cost who preached defiance against the encroaching shadow vanished, only for their corpses to reappear headless and hanging from the outstretched limbs of the Strong Point's guardian idols. That's the exact quote.
Fucking metal.
Then the rats came, hordes consuming their food stores, then scurrying into houses, barracks, and dreams. My nose is so fucking itchy. Jesus Christ. Then the rats came and they made my nose itchy.
Did you so hungry?
Then the disease. Many of the citizens became infected with a disease of blackened blood, and pustules grew on their cattle that would grow and burst into rat larvae. Rat larvae? Yeah.
Oh, nasty.
You liked the headline. This was the line that I liked. The pustules grew on the cattle that would grow and burst into rat larvae that screamed in human tongues.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Because Skaven don't speak English or, common or whatever the fuck they call it in fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
They speak in squeaks, and those squeaks convey squeaks and scents, which convey a lot of emotion and that. So, you know, they can have full conversations over the span of like seconds because of everything.
Yeah.
The rat larva spoke English. Cool.
Probably indicative because of where they came from.
Then, one day, a green lightning storm appeared over the city, and some of its defenders saw this as Sigmar's signal that he would come and save them, and marched out of the city into the Nor, never to be seen from again. And then, on the 13th day, the Vermintide swarmed the defences and pushed through. But victory was on the horizon for the citizens of Great Cost, because Skaven weapons do more damage to the Skaven than they do the defenders. That is, until the ground itself opened up in Great Cost, and the works of Clan Smolder emerged and tore apart the remaining defences, and those that remained were captured or devoured.
God.
That's what a lot of the cities are dealing with currently.
That's horrifying, and I love it.
Granted, as I said, this was in the Great Parch, so they got specially fucked. The Hour of Ruin has brought about a new era of chaos.
Mm-hmm.
This is a quote. I just wrote is quote. Fucking thanks me. Is quote.
Who wrote that? Me?
Is quote. With every day, cosmic bonds are fractured and gnawed as sanity is twisted out of alignment. Street preachers across the mortal realms cry out to all those who will listen about this new age, and vermin burst from the tumours across their bodies. Dark omens are seen by all, often repeating the number 13, as 13 is the sacred number of the horned god.
Yeah, that does make sense.
This era isn't truly an era of chaos, though. It's an era of the horned rat. His domain in the realm of chaos, called the Deepened Nor, the realm of ruin, or the nether wastes, has spilt out in a flood of corruption and phantasmal vermin. The damage so intense that Chaos has briefly had to divert attention from the mortal realms to deal with it. The Horned One is making thousands of deals with presumably the servants of Chaos, and little by little stripping the other gods of their power. Just every single time there's a silence, just think that I'm leaned back away from the mic so I can scratch my nose without making noise. Because that's exactly what's happening.
Oh, the reason I'm silent is because I'm processing those words. Those words are freaking awesome. I would love just a pure horror book about, like, a town or a city dealing with what seems at first like something so small. It's like some people report missing things from their larders, missing people, and slowly throughout the book you get the build up to the full-on Skaven infestation. Like, more people go missing, more horrors.
Skaven books, but they're all old world, so there might be some stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe that's something we could do.
I was thinking what would be really fun. Remember that goblin game that we were playing, the stealth goblin game?
Oh, yeah!
Yeah, I think that would be really fun if they did, like, an Eshin goblin game, or an Eshin, like, stealth game where you just sneak around and take out people in the cities, and you're just like an Eshin agent, and you're a gutter runner. I was looking at the models in the book, like the stats of, like, these are the abilities that they have, and it also showcases a picture of all the models, and it's really funny because it's all these, like, really nice models, and then you get to the gutter runners and it's models that are like 20 years old. it's models from Old World that look just so bad compared to the rest of the Eshin line. And there are new gutter runner models, but they're not for Age of Sigmar, I don't think. They're for a different game type. And, like, technically they're legal units that you can use in game, but they just don't include them for the gutter runners because they're, like, named units. It was really funny.
Yeah, just everything else looks badass, and it's like that meme of the Hydra. It's like two are really cool, and one is just.
That's not a Hydra. That's Ghidorah, King Ghidorah.
Oh, of course. My bad.
I actually have a fucking Godzilla joke I wrote further in the script. Topical.
You predicted it.
Okay, back on track. Even those who aren't the Skaven have taken to worshipping the horned rat. Quote, "As the apocalypse comes to consume us, some men do not resist. Driven from their minds by selfish fear, they bow before the darkness in search of succor. Before bell-strewn altars or rotting wicker idols, These apostates don cloaks of filthy vermin pelt, offering tribute of the burnt crops and befouled carcasses to a being they know as Good King Nor, a crowned and benevolent lord surrounded by an endless banquet. Their fate is to become food for the Skaven, but through their self-serving abasement, they nonetheless empower the great horned rat, letting him reach into their dreams and flesh and twist both to his pernicious liking. People worshipping the great horned rat now.
Yeah, genius idea. But then again, last episode, it's pretty much the same thing, only instead of becoming part of a horrifying flesh mass, it's just being eaten by a giant rat.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry, there's flesh masses.
Oh, great.
Some people are becoming horrifying flesh masses.
God, people are just so desperate for that. Like, get a hobby. Don't just, condemn yourself to be bored.
So, there's this thing that might have always been a thing and I just missed it, but here it is now. The Black Hunger. It's the name of the Skaven's ceaseless ravenousness. It drives them into frenzy and what forces them to strip the world of every resource and to consume everybody and everything. And if they don't, they die.
That's a bit of a harsh punishment, but hey, if it gets them going, it gets them going.
Skaven are always hungry.
Same.
Hungry. So, as with all these episodes, we talk about their cities. Why? Because I like cities, fuck you. I like the idea of just what do regular people get up to that aren't soldiers. What's their day-to-day like? Unfortunately, Warhammer isn't really interested too much in an answer to that question as far as Age of Sigmar goes. Yet. They answer it a lot in 40k, and bad is the answer. Always. Give me like an Impressions game style city builder, please. Or just like a regular city builder. Let me build cities.
Yeah, come on, man.
But there's a section in the battle tome on Skaven cities. So, the Skaven have a few cities in the North, and we got Hexen Nest.
Hexen Nest?
Hexen Nest. There's an E at the end. So it's like Hexen Nesty, but I don't think you're supposed to pronounce the E.
Like testy?
Yeah. Dead in the heart of the North is Hexen Nest, part of Blight City, thrust into Akshi, ruled by the Master Clan. Warp, well, kind of ruled by the Master Clan. In its listing, it's ruled by the Master Clan, but we'll get into who really rules it. A warp lightning crackles overhead its dark spires and roaring bells, and it is filled with senseless tunnels and portals in a never-ending maze. You know, like Blight City.
I'm just imagining a tryptophobic nightmare.
Okay, so next, we got Molderport, ruled by Clan Molder. Molderport sits on the southern coast of the Nor. Desperate to obtain the many corpses of the washed-up sea beasts, the bodies are taken into their labs and turned into their naval fleet, which, as we discussed, they use to harass the Deepkin.
Which is just funny as hell. You're like, I'm never going to have to deal with another rat infestation now that I live under the ocean. You just hear a little cackle from above, just... And then you look up and it's just a rat and a sea beast, and you're like, well, they're evolving.
Next, we got the Parasite Crawl. It's less a city and more a region in the east controlled by Scryer, filled with parasite engines. Enormous rat-like trains that crawl across the lands, drilling open the earth and devouring resources. In the hearts of the machines are covens of Warlock, using their newly mined resources to build great fleets of warp dirigibles that set out in search of new lands to harvest. At some point in time, I decided to do this as an announcer, and I'm just sticking with it.
Well, either way, I fucking hate it. I do not want to imagine a rat train coming at me.
Rat train, rat train, rat train, rat train, rat train, rat train, rat, rat, rat.
Do you reckon?
I'm mentally stable. What the fuck are you talking about?
No, I was just gonna say, do you reckon when they go chugga chugga choo choo, like they just throw in extra doubles? Chugga chugga choo, chugga choo choo?
Try saying that 4 times.
No. I'll bite my tongue speaking normally. I don't need to mess it up with that.
Alright, moving on. We got Pestin Mound. In the far north lays Pestin's Mound. I wrote it 2 different ways. What is it called? It's either called Pestin's Mound or Pestin Mound. I don't fucking know which one. I wrote it 2 different ways. A mass of compacted filth somewhere between the swamps and mires. That's peat bogs that create peat. Clan's Pestilence has constructed monasteries and catacombs within the vast mounds, and deep within, the Pestilence Brotherhood search for the secrets of the 13 Great Plagues, while, quote, brewing rivers of pustulant slime to cast against their fire barriers raised by the Dwarden of the adamantine chain. Dwarden are dwarves, by the way.
Ah, yes, that does make sense.
And last we got my favorite, Velt. Located on a not-quite island in the heart of a liquid warpstone lake, in the south of the Nor lies the mysterious Velt, a fortress with no entrance, made of stone so black it draws light. Maybe this fort is the heart of operations by the Ashen. Maybe it's a smokescreen, and an empty fort designed to attract their enemies, leaving their backs open.
Or, alternative, it's just like a fucking B&B. Like a rat B&B. Come stay here, join us, and while you're asleep, they steal all your belongings.
And probably stab you like 73 times.
Yeah, but look at that view. Worth it to me.
Okay. Now, Corgi.
That's my name.
For the rat of the hour. So, last we checked off with the Skaven during 3rd edition, the crack behind the throne for the Great Horned Rat and Screech Vermin King began to glow. Now in 4th edition, we know why. Brought about by the blast of ancient magic from the returning of the earthquake god Kragnos, every bell in Blight City rung 13 times, and a formless thing emerged from the cracks. Any attempts to control it ended horribly, so the Skaven instead started praying to it, and sacrificing Skaven to it. and so it continued. Until the Vermin Doom. That's the thing where they blew up the Great Parch by shoving Blight City into it.
Not that I blame them. Wait, does that mean that they just released an uncontrollable horror into the world?
Yes, but I don't think that's what means what you think it means. I'm like, I assume you're talking about the formless thing as the uncontrollable horror.
Yeah, just like they just sent that out because they accidentally blew up everything.
No, but Blight City is also an uncontrollable horror that they just set out into the world.
Oh yeah, I forgot it was alive.
They took a thing that shouldn't exist and went, "Bleh, we put it in here." So,
it's like the opposite of the backrooms.
The Great Horned Rat became no longer content with simply just being feared, and he wanted to be worshipped too. Not just by the Skaven, but by everyone. And that desire merged with this thing, and gave that thing a shape. And thus, Vizzik Skour was born.
What?
Vizzik Skour. That, you know how you sent me the picture of the thing and you're like, what the fuck is this?
Oh shit, was that Vizzik Skour?
Yeah, that's Vizzik Skour.
Jesus Christ, I thought that was just going to be the Horned Rat, but no, I want one.
That's Vizzik Skour.
I love it.
For some context, either Corgi finds out what we're doing like a week before because I say it at the end of the video, or she messages me the day of, hey, what are we doing? And then I tell her what the episode is because, you know, she does the drawing, so she actually needs to like Google reference pictures so she knows what the fuck that she's drawing. But every now and then, she'll just send me a picture of someone from that faction and be like, what the fuck is this? And I have to be like either, oh, that's this thing, we're not talking about it, don't worry about it. Or, in the case of Vizzik Skour, we'll talk about it. I got a picture earlier today of Vizzik Skour, which just went, what the fuck is this? It's Vizzik Skour!
Oh, I thought you just did the thumbnail of the video after that, and I was just like, oh, okay, he's redirecting me.
No. And then I sent you the what
name.
I'd written for the thumbnail of the video. Who in Azir is Vizzik Skour? It's that guy!
Okay, but in my defense, I just thought you were like, oh, okay, so Vizzik Skour, that must be like part of the Skaven thing. Yes, but also not what I was thinking. Not what I was expecting.
So, in the heart of the Nor, the Rat Lords struggle with each other, desperately fighting to become the master, until Vizzik Skour appeared and seized the throne of Hexen Nest, which is what I mean by it's not actually controlled by the Master Clan, even though the Battle Tome says, hey, Hexen Nest is controlled by the Master Clan. It then immediately follows it up with, hey, Vizzik Skour controls Hexen Nest. Cool, thanks.
And it's mine.
Vizzik Skour declared himself the prophet of the Great Horned Rat. He, quote, quelled opposition by summoning an eldritch state of death frenzy, driving sanity from non-believers, rabid oratory. It was a gift he had now sought to spread across Akshi. I'm going to read the next part verbatim because it explains it the best. I tried to explain it a bit more concisely and I gave up. Reports of circulated blood-smeared rat men, so ravenous they took bites out of one another on the march, Pale armor splattered with gore, their claw lords wore muzzled helms to mark control over their hunger. Only the Grey Seers, speakers of Vizzik's will, seemed unaffected, though they twitched at the ever-present droning of bells that accompanied their advance.
Honestly, if this guy fucking showed up to me and he was like, yeah, I'm the prophet of God, I'd probably just believe him because Jesus Christ.
He's not Jesus Christ.
Oh, fuck. I'm going to eat your teeth.
So, there are 13 Warp Shatter bells that have been raised. Only one was destroyed during a battle on Hell's Isle, presumably replaced. Because there can only ever be 13. No more, no less. And they are being consecrated with Vizzik's blood, which have exacerbated the Black Hunger, with only his chosen being spared. The Skaven and Vermin Lords are desperately trying to figure out Vizzik's next move. Screech in particular is worried he will try and take control over the Shadow Council, which is the council that is controlled by the rat demons.
Yes.
The Vermin Lords. However, Vizzik is more simple than that. Vizzik has something Skaven don't have. Faith. Genuine, true faith. He sees himself and the Great Horned Rat as indivisible, and his true goal is the goal of the Great Horned Rat. And he exploits his rival's suspicion for his own gain. And as for now, Vizzik has set his sights on the adamantine chain, the mountain ranges separating the Nor from the rest of the continent that it is on. As an aside, Vizzik can just turn people mad with a single touch of his big stick, and can turn Skaven mad / mind control them. It was kind of vague on what it did, just that he can drive them out of their own head.
That's actually kind of funny, because looking at his model, I just get Lilith vibes from Diablo. But like a cooler Lilith. Instead of hot Lilith, you get scary Lilith.
As an aside, I mentioned earlier the battle on Hell's Isle. Pretty sure it was Hell's Isle. Warhammer occasionally does this thing where you can play battles with armies. So, Skaven versus Sigmar. And you report into... You might have to play it in their store or something like that. And then you report who wins into Games Workshop. And they tally it all together. And then whoever wins the battle. And it gets added to lore.
And sort of like how they did that with Critical Role.
No fucking clue what you're talking about. But Hell's Isle was one of those battles, and I believe Sigmar won. So Hell's Isle managed to survive. Usually, the guys who are... it's usually Space Marines. It's Space Marines versus someone, and the Space Marines always win. Recently, with 10th edition... the Tyranids won, and then there's that great bit of fan art of all the factions being like, oh my god, they won.
Oh my god. I didn't think they had it in them.
So, here is the end bit we do sometimes, where it's just little lore tidbits that they have added that I thought were interesting, but I didn't finish that sentence. Interesting, but I didn't have a place to put them in. I couldn't find a location where they went. So I just... tack them on at the end. These no particular order with no particular relevance. The Great Horned Rat gets power from non-Skaven as well. Examples being peasants who devour their family rather than starve, preachers made a lord through prophesying a disaster, children toppling their siblings' work out of a need for attention. When mortals become self-serving vermin, it powers him.
Just a kid knocking over a fucking Lego, and all of a sudden the Great Horned Rat is like, delicious, I'm getting Batman, I'm getting prepubescent, like he's sampling a fine wine.
Every single time a child knocks over their younger siblings' blocks, the Great Horned Rat gains 1 XP point.
Just like real life.
The location where the Lords of Decay meet is called the Master Burrow. I don't know if that's new, or we just never talked about it.
Well, don't ask me. I hardly know anything.
The Lords of Decay, being the 13 members of the Council of 13, have veto powers on the seat opposite to them, so they can fuck over one rat in particular, and often try to overthrow their opposing seats and replace them with someone they can control. The council room, quote, obeys no sane spatial limitations. Their seats, which are actually pillars, are also placed so far apart that you can't just shoot anyone that pisses you off. The lords also try really hard to look powerful, and the two listed examples is that the Eshin on the council, Master Threk, is just a veil of oily shadows, and High Arch Warlock Scratch of Scryer sits in a 13-foot mecha of himself with flamethrowers for nostrils.
In other words, it's basically just a Gundam debate.
Yeah. The Lords of Decay are also allegedly granted immortality, that being the Age version and not the immune to knives version. So as long as they are able to avoid being killed, they will rule forever. Clan Verminous got fucked in lore again and barely has anything, though they are now one of the 3 clans that mostly control the council, the others being Scryer and Molder. I think in the previous video, it was Scryer and Pestilence. Flensing is a stupid word.
Flensing, that sounds familiar.
It's basically flaying. It's the same word as flaying. It means cutting the skin off meat. However, it is used specifically, usually, in relation to cutting the meat off a whale.
Ah.
But it doesn't have to be exclusively used in whales. But it's a stupid word. Scryer view the Great Horned Rat as the Great Innovator, a giant robot who defends Tokyo from Gojira.
There's the joke.
There's the Godzilla joke.
After all these years.
Quote, a Skaven of the clan Scryer will always ask whether a thing is possible rather than whether it is advisable. That's just, your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should, with different words.
Thanks, Jeff Goldblum.
The Skaven have a public transit system in Blight City utilizing monorails.
Monorats.
Hey, editing room Che here again. You get 2 in 1 video. So I feel like we really gloss over this fact, and I haven't stopped thinking about it since we were recording. The Skaven have a public transit system. Like, whose idea was that? Why did they build that? What Skaven was sitting there looking at Blight City and went, you know what this really needs? A public transit system. We need to invent trains, and we need to have people be able to use those trains. They might be charged, but Skaven mostly use Warpstone as currency, or weapons or equipment. So I don't think that the Skaven in general are just, oh, I need to catch this train to the other side of Blight City. I guess I'll just hand over a knife. I think they're just hopping on the transit system. And even then, if there was a currency, Skaven aren't the type of faction to just pay for public transit. They would just hop the train anyway. So some Skaven somewhere, aware of this fact, decided that no, what we need is a free public transit system that stretches out through the entire city, this labyrinthine system. And then they built trains. And you can just hop on. There are human cities in the real world with a worse transit system than the Skaven. What? Like, more people need to focus on this. The Skaven have a public transit system. I cannot stress enough how fucking bizarre that is. How insane it is that the Skaven have a fucking transit system. What? Although it does track that the Skaven have a monorail system, because monorails have this whole, ooh, it's the future, and, rule of cool sort of thing going for them, while being one of the worst public transit systems you could have. They're fucking atrocious. They're not the worst. The worst probably goes to that thing that was both a monorail and just a bicycle. Combining all of the downsides of a monorail with the fact that you also have to ride a bicycle in the sky, and also whatever the fuck Elon Musk's loop thing was, even though technically that's not a public transit system. It was kind of the initial idea that it was a public transit system, and then whatever the fuck he did with that. Though those are probably the worst public transit systems, but monorails are definitely up there, which tracks why the Skaven of every single public transit system picked monorails. Monorails.
Not this again.
As an aside, the people who uploaded that to YouTube they're local. They're It's a city near me. There's a place called the Spit, which is like it's like a hole in the ground, basically, that water from underwater goes in and it shoots up. It's kind of fucking picturesque. But there was development nearby or something, so they made a YouTube channel called Save Our Spit, and they uploaded the monorail song as a specific dig of the people who are developing are just Lyle Landley. It was like watching that and then seeing Save Our Spit and be like, oh, I know a place called the Spit, and then reading it and being like, oh, it's the same Spit. This is local to me.
The intricacies of living in a proper place instead of just a tiny...
Well, it's not like local in the sense it's the same city. It's a different city, but it's a city that's like an hour away.
Local-ish.
Yeah. Anyway, sometimes Molder create mutant animals and then just release them back into the wild to fuck with the ecosystem.
That sounds like them.
Master Molders experiment on themselves, becoming indistinguishable from their creations. They also believe that they alone will retain their independence when they are consumed by the writhing broodsire, the flesh monster that they believe the great horned rat to be. This appearance helps in negotiations.
Yeah, and how's it been going for them?
Pretty well. They are now one of the 3 main clans on the council.
Damn.
Clan Molder grew, actually related to how that happened. Clan Molder grew immensely in power due to the era of beasts, where all of a sudden there was a large amount of giant monsters that they could experiment on and create giant flesh beasts. Chaos Warbands are afraid of Molder, because, yeah.
I don't want to be a flesh thing.
They sometimes just put mortal heroes' brains in rat ogres. Just...
Well, I was going to say that's fucked up, but that's no more fucked up than those goddamn servitor skulls.
Yeah. Just, you die, and then they dig out your brain of your corpse, and then they just fucking
back to
chuck it in a rat ogre. So, sometimes, the giant monsters are actually just regular people. Fun!
And existential.
Witnessing Molder's creation in war is a real easy way to develop PTSD. That's not just like that's like actually pretty much stated in law. It leaves a permanent scar on the mind, just witnessing them. Fun!
Oh, just getting traumatized.
The hell pits where they make these monsters have flesh walls that pulsate and ooze. Something.
Gross.
They also have a place called Molder Pit, which is a giant flesh pit in Antstor in Gur, where they create rat rocks. For those that aren't mythologically inclined, rocks, that being ROC, are giant eagles capable of preying on elephants. And they also create organ titans.
Gross. I hate it.
Pestilence rarely have any Lords of Decay, because they fucking hate the Master Clan.
I don't blame them.
They see them as false prophets and instead follow their own prophets, with blackjack and hookers. The Master Clan claim to know what the Eshin are up to. They do not. Unlike the rest of the Skaven, to rise through the ranks of the Eshin, you have to display competence and cunning.
So not very many people live there, huh?
Yeah. Previously, they said that the Eshin might be possibly from Olgu, but no one knows. They're just from Olgun, Realm of the Shadows.
Oh, I thought you said Olgu. They're just Olgu, man.
They're just from Olgu now. No maybes. They just drain an Olgu. In the ever-shifting explanation of the Necroquake, the Eshin were there for information, as stated in 3rd edition Battle Tome, unlike 2nd edition, where they were just there to yoink some realm stone. However, this time, instead of all the clans trying to claim they were the ones that did it, they all instead saw it as a calamity and ganged up to blame the Eshin, who didn't do anything wrong, and the rest of the council started to realize the Eshin aren't to blame after some Lords of Decay coincidentally died in highly improbable and humiliating freak accidents. Wild. Just, how do those things happen?
Well, it shouldn't have slandered the Eshin then.
The Eshin had nothing to do with it. We're just freak accidents.
Quote unquote.
During the Age of Chaos, Skaven attacked a dwarven hold, besieging it. On the 13th year, to the day, the dwarf lords assembled a council meeting. A vermin lord then opened a gnaw hole in the ceiling of the chamber, and countless clan rats spilt through, falling to their deaths, the dwarves being crushed to death by the hordes of corpses.
Fuck you. Rats your entire meeting room.
Rat tsunami! Great Clan Shriked. I'll mention again. Anyway, that's it. That's the end of the episode.
The end of the episode. rats are everywhere, and keep your eye out for them.
If you like this episode, go check out our previous episodes. We cover fantasy, albeit mostly Age of Sigmar. We do have a single old world video on Bretonia and France, like real France.
But we definitely don't get sidetracked.
We stayed pretty consistent on that one. We just spent the whole first half of the video talking about France. But that was actually by design rather than us going off tangent.
The one time France is okay.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I don't know.
We did a video 2 weeks back on the Adeneth clans. Maybe go check that one out. It didn't do well, which is disappointing. Disappointing. Not because people didn't watch our stuff, but because of Charo Bornassus, a character so inconsequential, he has a few paragraphs about him and then disappears from lore completely. And I love him. Maybe if we get big enough, we can apply some soft pressure to GW to expand the Charo lore.
Only if they have that Charo do my Charo.
All Warhammer podcasts have their just like one character that they just like obsess on. Like Tom and Ben, it's Kremlo came from space. Though once again, they're not a podcast. They just do stuff in the medium. And I think Adeptus Ridiculous has Doge Van Dyer's Wikifeet collection. I think ours is Charo Bornassus. A man playing Doom. Or an elf playing Doom in the warp.
Good for him, though.
Good for him.
God forbid men have hobbies, right?
Yeah. God forbid men go to the warp and just start killing demons. Anyway, this has been Good Morning Ratman. I hope you had a good morning. I just realized while writing this video that this video is actually released in the morning for Americans, which is funny. Anyway, do the like and comment and subscribe and the share. And hello to all our new viewers. We got a decent chunk from the Gene Stealer Cults video.
Yay!
Now that we have said hello, goodbye.
Bye.
Okay. Let's hope
Can you hear me bouncing my leg, by the way?
No.
Okay, good.
Whether I can hear it in the recording or not is a different question.
Yeah, probably, but you can just cut that bit out.
It's like every single time I hear you type, I can't hear you type, but I can hear it in the recording, and I have to cut it out in the recording, which is fine when you're not speaking.
I'm not talking.
But every now and then you'll be like, let me type something up and continue the conversation as I'm typing, and I'm just sitting there being like, why did you do this?
No!
You fucked me.
Ha! Good morning, Ratman! And
I've already written this wrong. It's fine. I can cut around it.
Hi!
You need to say hi.
I did. I said hi.
It didn't come through on the mic. Hit that hi again.
Hi!
Bit more Skaven-y.
Hi!
Okay, actually legible.
Hi!
Like a hi sort of thing.
Hi! Hi!
I can't hear you.
Yeah, well, my fucking mic can. And every single one of those has peaked.
Okay, I'll find something there. Worst case scenario, I'll get a backup recording.
Oh, speaking of, have you seen Nope?
Nope.
You should.
I don't watch horror films.
It's not really that horror.
Yeah, but it's still a horror film.
I think there's only, 2 jump scares.
Yeah. I still don't watch horror films. I was thinking about Green Room the other day. Green Room is the only film that's not an alien movie that I have gone to the theaters to watch. That was a horror film. And fuck me, that film, Jesus. That is horrifying film.
Yeah, honestly, Nope is genuinely a what is it?
Cinematic masterpiece?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very beautiful to watch.
Green Room is so good because it's
About
realistic.
a room that's green?
So a green room is where you go before you go on stage.
Yeah, I do know that much.
Yeah, so the plot is these punks inadvertently play at a Nazi bar. They're not aware it's a Nazi bar before they play there. And they just do the gig, get out. But one of them leaves her phone in the green room. So they all go back to the green room. And when they walk in the green room, they've found a Nazi having killed a woman. And then another woman is there. And then they're all like, what? So then the other woman gets the chance and just attacks the guy who just murdered her friend. And they're like, oh, fuck. So they help her out. But now they're trapped in a green room, surrounded in a Nazi bar, surrounded by 40 Nazis who know that they've witnessed them kill someone. And that's the film, is them just trying to get out of this situation. It is terrifying.
The weirdest escape room ever.
And that's it, because it's I don't like horror for a lot of reasons, but I have no interest in, and then it's just an like insurmountable supernatural being, and there's nothing that you can do about it.
Yeah, sometimes you just want, the hero to overcome something.
Where this is just like, well, this is a situation that could literally happen tomorrow, and has probably happened to people. Not in the exact circumstances, but there are probably some people who have just accidentally stumbled on a gang doing crimes, and it's just like, cool.
Shout out to Detroit.
Now I'm in a shit situation. It's Oregon, because Oregon is full of Nazis, and the film is set in Oregon because Oregon is full of Nazis. Located in the Not-Quite Island in the heart of a liquid lakestone lake. I said lakestone. Little law that.
So what are your plans later?
Finish this Panic Attack, play D&D.